Hi, everyone. I always get a kick out of interviewing people who I know, admire, and respect. And that's the guest I have this morning, Debbie Allen. She is considered the expert of experts. She's an international business and brand strategist. She's the best-selling author of 8 books. She's a mentor to business owners and entrepreneurs from around the globe. She's an expert strategist in the fields of business growth, marketing, and branding. And she is also an award-winning entrepreneur who has presented before thousands of people in 28 countries. But what's most unusual about Deb is that she possesses the unique ability to instantly solve any business problem and leverage solutions and marketing trends that earn you online domination around your brand. With over 4 decades of business building wisdom, she easily understands the dynamics of making big money by positioning yourself as an expert in your niche market. Well, welcome, Debbie. How are you today?
Well, I'm so super excited to be here with you. I've always admired you for so many years, and anybody that can stay in the industry like we have, being speakers and experts out there in this world for as long as we have, then that says a lot. It says we like to learn. It says we like to keep learning. And it says we like to give back to the world as well.
It's true, but you know something, in order to do that, I think you really have to continually reinvent yourself. I know that I feel like I'm in my 7th reinvention right now from the time I was born. And I know that you have done amazingly well, but you've gone through some changes in your life as well. So since this is a program for women 50 plus who feel sometimes they've reached their max by the time they get to 50, and yet others say, well, my life is just beginning, so what else can I do? I want to ask you if you believe that anyone can become an expert.
I do. In fact, I have one of the ways I give back to my community is I have a meetup group, and I have over 2,000 members in the Phoenix area in my meetup group, and it's Entrepreneurs of Phoenix. And last night I was doing a presentation where it was about, how to become a highly paid expert. And these are people that, randomly show up. And it was interesting, out of 2,000 members, always new people come and just show up. And some of them are, new people that are just like starting a career or leaving a corporate job. Some are getting out of college. Some were, seniors that had left a corporate job after years. They were all over the place. And I thought, what an interesting market, because we have the diversity here. So, looking at them, thinking the same thing, could they be experts in everything? And it was quite interesting, the dynamics of the group and what they could all do. And whether they were a carpet cleaner or they were a coach or consultant, I mean, coaches and consultants and speakers, that's very easy for them to go into the expert world. But I am now working with even people in the network marketing business, which I thought would not be a fit. But think about it. I'm working with probably the top people making over 6 figures in the network marketing business, now separating themselves to be experts and highly paid experts, because they are creating their own personal brand outside of the network marketing arena. So it doesn't matter what area of business you're in, you just position yourself to be in the top of that market, that go-to authority within that industry. And if you're starting out from the very beginning, like there was a gal there, she had a window dressing business, and she wanted to switch it up and be a coach. And she said, I know I have the ability to be a coach. A lot of people say that I'd be the type of personality to be a coach, and I want to start that new business. And so, you start right at the beginning to position yourself as an expert. So it comes down to the brand positioning. So I have people from a brand new idea to position themselves as an expert at the beginning, and then I have people that are, again, like you said, reinventing themselves because they have gone to a different level or a different target market and repositioning themselves as an expert into a market that's very like niched within a niche, right? And so I think that's really the thing. If you can find a specialty within a specialty, it's even better.
Well, that is true, because the let's say the view of wisdom is to niche as tightly as you possibly can And of course, a lot of people don't really get that because they think, well, won't that market be too small? But if you can position yourself as an expert there and you do it well and you can make enough money from it, that's exactly what you should do. However, you are the expert of experts. So people look at you and say, well, sure, easy for her. I mean, she knows how to do it. She's been in business a long time. She's got this reputation. She's done all these things. How does someone begin positioning themselves as an expert? Supposing I do something, really well, but I have no clue how to make myself appear as the expert in that arena.
Okay, I'm going to take an example of somebody that came last night because I never turn my brain off when I come up with when I did, because this is what I do. I'm the market positioning person. I take a person with an idea and then I can position them. I will know how to search online, where we can find an area to position them, and then dominate that market with keyword rich domains. And then gobble up those domains. And so what I would do, here's an example. So I came home, I started talking to my husband last night about some of the people that were there. And I said, there's this gentleman that was there, and he has an interesting niche that he is a consultant to people that want to buy franchises. I said, that's really cool because I speak, I keynote at a lot of franchise conferences, and I love franchises because they're interesting businesses and they're very systemized. And I love the audiences because they're like sponges. There are a lot of people that get into a business like that because they don't really know business, or they come out of a corporate market. They want a proven model. And so I thought, well, that's really interesting. So I started talking to him and I said, so how do you do that? He goes, well, I got into it because a lot of people want to buy a franchise and it's a big investment. And I talk to them and find out, what their skills are and what the personalities are, and then direct them and study different franchises for them. And I coached them through the process. I said, well, that's a really cool thing, and then how do you get business and that conversation, right? So I started brainstorming that, on my way home from the meeting, and I'm thinking of these different domains that he should have, right? He's not a client, but I'm thinking if he was a client, this is what I would do. So, I look online and I'm thinking, the franchise coach, the franchise consultant, your franchising consultant. I mean, I'm looking all these domains up and they're all available. And I'm like, man, this guy should be owning all of these, right? If he worked with me, he would be gobbling all of these domains up that were keyword rich domains that people would be searching for to even know that a person like that even existed, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And this was interesting that he said this little nugget of information that shows he's at the beginning and kind of clueless, is he's like, well, I'm kind of doing, you mentioned speaking, and he said, I'm getting invited to speak at these events, and, they're paying for my hotel to go. And I'm thinking, wow, you have no idea how much money you can make in this business. He's just at the tipping point of what he could be doing. He doesn't know yet. But again, another example of that. So what I would do with somebody just coming up with an idea like that, you've got to gobble up all of these. You got to find out an area that you could own, and then you search for that on the internet and say, okay, I can own that. There's all of these domains available, and they're keyword rich domains. When I came up with the idea of the highly paid expert, Gayle, there was people talking about experts and being highly paid and authority, but nobody really owned that phrase. And I thought of the idea because I thought of the book idea. But when I wanted to launch it, I never write a book unless it's a business plan. So my whole business plan for the book was going to be, it's going to be a workshop. It's going to be a mentoring program. It's going to be my new brand. It's going to be my legacy. It's going to be everything. So I gobbled up everything before I launched it. And now if you look under highly paid expert, it's page 1, 2, 3 of Google. I've saturated the market, but I had to do that from the very beginning. And so that's what I do with somebody. So that's how you would start in positioning from day one. Once you have the idea clear, is getting those keyword rich domains. And then you start launching the brand. So a lot of people think, oh, they start with an idea of a name. They don't even know if it's right. And they put it out there. And then, then they might go look for the domain. I mean, you got to have all that positioning right. And then the same positioning can go with keyword rich videos. So again, the reason I'm on 1, 2, 3 pages of Google is not only the domains that I own, but also the keyword rich words that I'm using to target title videos that I have also on YouTube. So these are really inexpensive ways to position yourself even very early on when you get the idea.
That's very, very interesting. And you've really given people a wonderful plan just with the few words that you have said. It's just amazing. However, the other factor that comes into it, and this is something that I ran into when I first started changing my direction in my sixth reinvention, and that was you've got to find a market that will pay you, because there's a lot of things that are wonderful and people love and they enjoy and they'll compliment you and they will say you're wonderful and I enjoy you, but they don't want to pay for it. So one of the other things that seems to be in the mix of all of that is, can you make money at it? Even though you may be known for expertise in a particular area, will you make money at it? So that's another factor.
Huge.
And I know that you are definitely into talking about multiple streams of income. So how do you decide whether the market will pay?
Well, I had a client recently, and she says, "Oh, I want to be like the first lady of San Diego." Like, and what the hell is that? Because there's so many things to do in San Diego, and I want to help. Yeah, I'm like, okay, wouldn't there be a chamber of commerce or something else? I'm like, what? How are you going to make money from that? You're going to get a tour bus and run people around. I mean, I didn't even see any ideas for around that at all. I'm like, okay, they had that idea. Then she had some other idea, and then she had another idea where she was already making six figures in it as a consultant. So I'm like, okay, why wouldn't we just blow that part up? I mean, I don't even want to work on any other part of your business. I'm sorry. I know that's your passion, but I don't want to build that part of your business because I don't see it any part that's monetizable. If you want to do that, that's a hobby, but you don't work with me on a hobby. And so I'm very clear with people. If I feel it's not something that they're going to monetize, I'm like, that's not something you're going to invest in me with to do, throw money in to work on a hobby. So, those are either your passions or your hobbies or your give backs, but they're not a business plan. So that's got to be very, very clear up front. And there's certain industries people go into and say, well, there was a show that I just did the other day. It was a podcast. And so the lady's on there and she's like, I was an anesthesiologist for years. And now I'm a humorist. So she's like a humorist. She's going into the speaking world, but she's being like a stand-up comic humorist. And she says, I keep going out there and I can't understand why I can't make money. All these people make money in business and I can't make any money. Well, if she's, you know what it's like as a humorist. I mean, most stand-up comics don't make any money. And if she's probably, how she's positioned herself, I'm assuming that she doesn't know. And she's trying to understand why she can't make money in business. Everybody else makes money in business. Well, most anesthesiologists probably don't know about business. And I think it's kind of funny that an anesthesiologist is even funny to begin with, but I mean, I would look at that and go, okay, maybe there's a different way of looking at what and how you position yourself maybe as a speaker or how you're going into the marketplace. Because she was probably anesthesiologists make a lot of money. And now you're going into like a humorous speaker world that you don't even know anything about. And she's broke, of course, So, sometimes people go into something because they think that's something they like to, I want to be a lounge singer, and they were making money as a doctor. It's like, it got to be realistic,
Well, that brings up a couple of thoughts in my mind. Number one is, why do people who are very successful at what they do make a change? For example, the consultant who was doing very well in her industry but wanted to change. And here we had an anesthesiologist. Now, it's either because they're burned out and they don't want to do what they're doing anymore, or it has become like baggage to them, or they're just, maybe they just need a change. They've gone through some kind of trauma and they need a change in their lives. But I think that, of course, because there's, who is that comedian? Ken, whatever, he's on the TV all the time, and he was a doctor, and he plays a doctor on TV, the Asian doctor. But the thing is, why do people want to leave the career that they're very successful in, not an average person, but they're very successful at what they're doing, and they want to make this humongous change? And the only reason I can think of is that they're either supremely unhappy of what they're doing or totally burned out. So what are the reasons that people make those? I mean, it's one thing if I'm, if I'm working at a job and I'm making my average income and I decide I want to do something else, that's a different story. But when I've been successful as a consultant, successful as an anesthesiologist, why would I change?
Well, I think it's easier for an entrepreneur to change because entrepreneurs, we like challenges and we like to grow businesses even more than we like it at the top. When we're at the top. We come in with skill sets of how to run a business, and so we can pick up just about any business and be successful at it. But when you come from a career with a long, lengthy career like a nurse, for example, nurses, I have a lot of clients that are nurses that wanted to become highly paid experts, and you wouldn't think that that would be a good client, but they keep coming to me, so I'm paying attention to that. And the reason they come is because they are burned out. I mean, I have like trauma nurses. Like, how many years can you do that? It's really an intense type of thing. And they're the type of people, obviously, they're nurturers. They want to give back. So often they go into a life coaching. So they want to do something to help people, but not in something that's so intensive. So in their, they're getting into their 50s usually. And then they go, the next chapter of my life cannot be this intense. But I still want to be a nurturer. And so they go to turning into a lot of times holistic health. I have nurses that have gone into holistic health or either life coaching, and they're still supporting people. And often they have made more money as highly paid experts once I've reinvented them, more than they have made as a nurse within the first year. And they have been working as a nurse for 25 years. And it's just shocking that they could create a new business as a highly paid expert, which is free, working when they want, working with the clients they want without being tied to a career like that, without stress. And being able to do that and learn the skills. And nurses especially are really good at learning those new skills because they're really good at studying and being really good students. They don't sit around and not do the work. And so they are able to adapt. So one of the things, if you are in a position where you say, I want to reinvent my life, and you don't even think that you have the skill sets as a business person, I think that you still can be very, very successful. You don't have to have the skills of a business person if you hire a smart business mentor that takes you under their wing and believes in you. And sometimes that mentor needs to believe in you more than you believe in yourself. And I do that for a lot of my clients. I believe in them because I can see their talents and I can see what they can do. And I see that they can help people. And then follow their lead and do everything they say. You must be coachable and you must be open, and then you can't freeze when it becomes real, because I've seen people do that too, because they could go and say, yeah, I'll do all that you want me to do. We'll build out the whole brand. We'll make the website. We'll make it all real. And now it's all real. I have my coaching program and I can do this and now I have clients that even want me. And now it's like this imposter syndrome comes up, like, I'm afraid to be successful. I'm afraid to say that I'm really going to do this, because is this really me? So there's pieces of this where there'll be some mental blockage that could come into play, because when you step up to the plate and say you're an expert, it's really stepping up to say, I'm at the top of my game, and I'm going above the masses. And so you have to realize that you're not the average person if you're going to step into that world. And you have a little bit more responsibility than the masses. And you do have a responsibility to be changing lives, whether that's their personal lives or their business lives. And so that's just not really the average person. And I tell people that if you're not ready for this, then you're not ready for this. But you know what? If you are.
You mentioned a couple things. Number one, the work that has to get done. And it is like that in anything. And people want instantaneous success. And they do not realize what goes in to making something work. And you talked about, an entrepreneur is a business person who can kind of, go from one thing to the other. The interesting thing to me is there's a couple things here. Number one, a lot of entrepreneurs make lousy managers. I mean, they make great builders of business because they're passionate and they work hard and they get so many things done. But when it comes to building the business, and there's lots of people that they're responsible for, they're not really great managers. They almost need a separate type of personality to come in there, manage those people, and let the entrepreneur fly and do what they do well. The second part of that is, doing the work is paying your dues. And we talk a lot about that in speaking. For example, somebody asked me the other day, how do you get started in speaking? Well, you can't do it the way I did it, 40 some years ago. But I really got on the phone and I called 100 meeting planners a day, which was 500 a week. And I dialed that phone 500 times a week. And I really didn't care who said no. I only care who said yes. And in 9 months, I was doing 135 programs a year for 20 years. Well, first of all, today, nobody answers their phone. Secondly, meeting planners are not your key person anymore because most of them are doing logistics. And thirdly, today, it's not a 9-month process. They could hire you in 4 weeks. It's a much shorter term. So a lot of the rules have gone out the window, and there are still people who do not know how to manage their business, no matter what business they're in. They kind of just react more than proact. So what do you do about people like that?
The thing is, you're just a gutsy lady. You're going to go for it. You're just like not going to accept no for an answer. And that's what's going to make people acceptable, successful in business. You're like, I'm going for it. And that was the thing. The more effort you put in and the more action you take, the more successful you're going to be. And so you didn't even know. I mean, the thing, Gayle, is you didn't even have a model to follow. You didn't back then when you started the speaking business. How many years ago was that?
I had been speaking to build my other business. I had another business that I built from 0 to 7 offices and 350 people. And I always spoke to promote the business, but I never was a paid professional speaker. Then when I went to NSA and realized I could make a living at it, that was 1980.
Wow. So you see, there was very few, like you didn't even know the world of paid professional speaking then. And there was even very few women, right? Even
yeah. That's when I had to wear my navy blue suit and my little my little tie, at the neck, and it was terrible.
That's why I admire you so much. That industry didn't even exist, and you're out there pushing it, making it happen. So when people are saying, when they got models to follow now, they got mentors to follow now, they got systems to follow now. Yes, the business is different, but it really in some ways is easier because we have the internet now and you could find things and research. Back then it's like, when we had a book.
It was the library. That's where you went.
Yeah, the library, going through books and writing things down, right? Everything's at the, you can go on LinkedIn and research, companies and find the CEOs and everything. It's so easy now. So there's really no excuses. It's like you decide you're either going to work at it or not. And I'm going to go back to that original thought where you were saying people wanting to reinvent their life. Going, well, yeah, they're talking about, working hard, doing all this stuff. I'm at a point in my life, I don't want to work so hard. I'm getting older. Okay, here's a thought on that. I think that way some days. And I go, why am I pushing so hard? Why am I working so hard? Because, I thought that probably, years ago, I thought when I got to, my age, which I'm almost 65, I'm really looking forward to 65 because I'm finally going to get Medicare. Like the insurance is so, who would think you're actually going to look forward to getting older at that age? You could actually save on insurance.
But now we just have about a minute left in this segment, Debbie. So I want to make sure we get your thought in.
Okay. So the thing is, I thought I would slow down. But the thing is, you get wiser as you get older, and there's so much wisdom to give that you want to keep going. And that's the thing, is you want to keep going. You just want to reinvent where you work smarter and do something that you give back. And that was my thought.
Well, it's true. And of course, I'm the same way. People are always saying to me, when are you going to retire, Gayle? And I say never, because most people retire because they want to do what they want to do, but I'm doing what I want to do anyway. So, It doesn't matter that much to me because I think we're at that point. But I do want to talk a little bit about your personal life when we get back, because Okay, you're hitting 65 soon. What has that done for your personal life? And I know that there's been some changes there. So hang on, folks. We'll be back with part 2 of Debbie Allen. You've had the opportunity to get to know me over the last few years, and I'd like to get to know you as well. One of the things I'm offering is training for the media. I have a wonderful program that will get you ready for any radio or TV interview you might be offered. Many of you are doing wonderful things, but no one knows about them. Others of you are successful and wonder what's next. Whether you're in a business or have a special cause or a specific event you're promoting, media can help, and I can help you master your message so you can master the media. If this sounds interesting to you, email me at gaylecarson13@gmail.com with media training in the subject line. I promise I will be in touch.